And to raise money, you have to file with the Secretary of State's office. And to file that is an announcement that enables you to raise resources as a candidate, whether a candidate for governor, Secretary of State, treasurer, auditor. And that's what we're upon because of the importance of Ohio.
And would you like to avoid a competitive primary?
Oh, yeah, every good chairman, including those who aren't very good like Bob Bennett, would agree with me that primaries are expensive.
And how do you accomplish that?
Deftly with a great deal of intellect.
How would you say the responsibilities of being county executive of Cuyahoga County would translate into being a good?
Oh, it's one of the largest public budgets in the state. It's the most important Democratic county in the state. It is a place where I think Joe's written many times, others have as well. And if you come out of Cuyahoga County, 200,000. 50,000, I think the number is 150,000 votes lead. You oftentimes win the state. I think John Kasich knows that. Bob Bennett certainly knows that as a native of Cuyahoga County. My job as chairman of the party, to the question that was asked, is to avoid a primary, whether a primary for governor, primary for auditor, whatever the case, and to avoid spending perhaps millions of dollars in a primary and wait till the fall. We know John Kasich is going to be well funded by corporate interests. Those people who have been benefiting from his weakened leadership. He's going to have very deep pockets from his friends at the former Lehman Brothers and in the corporate world. We will offset that by having the best candidate. In this case, we'll continue to talk to Ed and perhaps others, and then we'll go through a pre-primary process and make our decision accordingly. That process, by the way, is made by the Executive Committee, and the pre-primary process made by the Ohio Democratic Party Executive Committee, and it's an open meeting as well.
Ed appears to be the only candidate out there, prospective candidate out there actively politicking for this. Is there anybody else that could catch up to him? And how soon would those folks have to get to work?
Great question. I had a great conversation with Congressman Tim Ryan a couple days ago on the heels of Ted's announcement. And Congressman Ryan continues to be interested in a statewide run for governor, perhaps in this cycle. And I say perhaps because nothing definitive. Let me stress that over and over. I also had a conversation post-holiday party here at ODP with now former Congresswoman Betty Sutton. I've spoken to her as well to gauge her interest, and as some of you know, having covered her in the State House and then in the Congress, she has got an incredibly long history in public service and more years to contribute and more to do. And of course, Rich Cordray, who is not permitted to engage in political activities. Those are the names we all know.
Have they been working the circuit the last year like Ed has been?
Well, Congresswoman Betty Sutton's been engaged in Northeast Ohio in a very competitive congressional race and has worked very hard in her former district. So I would, and Tim as well. But from a statewide perspective, Ed is continuing to travel the state, reintroducing himself to Ohioans and talking about the great story in Cuyahoga County.
Well, to be clear, did Betty Sutton and Rich Cordray tell you that they were interested in running for governor, or what's?
No, I didn't speak to Rich Cordray. He's not permitted to engage in political conversations. But I think you said Tim Ryan or Betty Sutton?
Betty Sutton.
Betty Sutton indicated an interest in running statewide at some point. She was not definitive, though. Let me stress that. Not definitive as to office or time.
Everyone was kind of waiting to see what Governor Strickland was going to do. Did he communicate to you why he decided not to run?
You know, Ted Strickland and I have known each other, very close friends for many years. And he and I have had countless conversations, as you can imagine, over the course of the last several months about the future, and we had a chance to have dinner a few nights ago where he told me of his interest and what he'd like to continue to contribute, both in political public life and in private life, and he and Francis will continue to remain engaged. You know, governors have a great deal of impact on political organizations. In the case of the Ohio Democratic Party, Ted Strickland, as a member of Congress and then as a governor, contributed time and energy into the infrastructure of the Ohio Democratic Party. So he wants a candidate, and a party to succeed, and will continue to do the things to make that happen.
Did you say why he decided not to run ultimately?
No.
You talked about the executive endorsement process. When is that going to happen? Could that happen relatively soon?
The bylaws provide that any announced statewide candidate can request a pre-primary endorsement. It's up to the chairman to call the meeting. I don't anticipate anything sooner rather than later. Don't reserve a seat yet. It's going to be there's plenty of time as other candidates come to the conclusion. But what we're up against is in terms of timeline, is the money needed to run a competitive campaign, a winning campaign. You know, it's glossed over by a couple of folks, none in this room. It's been glossed over. John Kasich's got a 30% re-elect. Ted Strickland had a 46% re-elect at the similar time. There's a great opportunity for the Democrats to win, not just at the top of the ticket, but as coattails in other seats as well. This is the strongest political party in the country. The Ohio Democratic Party remains the largest and strongest. We're going to take the wind at our back coming out of the election, re-election of Sherrod Brown and Barack Obama to help, whether it's Ed FitzGerald or Betty Sutton or whomever the candidate is, win in 2014.
Will this be the national gubernatorial race?
There's no question that this race in 2014 will attract the most attention because of the importance going into the presidential cycle of 2006.
So, Chris, have the embers of 2000 or Senate Bill 5 have they cooled off to the extent that you can't reignite them, or
Ask any cop or firefighter that question, you'll get your answer. Barack Obama and Sherrod Brown won with a coalition of support. The ascending coalition last year was joined in by firefighters and teachers and police officers and custodians who were impacted by the mean-spirited legislation that John Kasich supported full bore at the beginning of his term. He's going to try and run away from that issue, but not only am I going to be here as chairman of the party, but I don't know if you've read this or not. The good people of the 89th House District elected me with nearly 70% of the vote to serve in the legislature as well. I'm looking forward to serving on the controlling board and asking the questions that need to be asked, and I'm looking forward to serving in the legislature as well.
Is there any chance you'll be on the statewide ballot in 2014?
There is little to no chance of me being on the statewide ballot, ever.
Definitive answer.
Unless it says paid for by the Democratic Party on a sample ballot.
Since we're talking about gauging interest, what about any of the other state offices?
Oh, you missed some great speeches just now. Nina Turner, David Pepper, Connie Pillich, Tracy Maxwell Hurd. I'm going to leave somebody out. John Bocherry, Wade Kapskavich, Ed Leonard. These are elected officials from all across the state of Ohio with diverse backgrounds who could at any point run for statewide office. You know, you have a sense when you read of a 36% a reelect number or an approval rating still under 50%, mired under 50%. You get a sense when you travel that there's opportunity. And John Kasich is not Bob Taft, is not George Moinovich in terms of discipline. He is all over the place, literally and figuratively.
Thanks, Chris. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.